He was an icon of the Quebec goalie movement of the 60s and 70s, an icon of the Philadelphia Flyers. Probably one of the best pound-for-pound goalies of the mid-1970s. There were not for the WHA and the machinations after he left the Leafs, he would never been as respected as he was. Of course, the guy they called Bernard Parent, has passed away. He was a key ice hockey goalie in the NHL for 13 seasons with the Flyers, Bruins, and Maple Leafs between 65 and 69, and spent one season in WHA with the Philadelphia Blazers during the 73 season, where he was teammate with many former NHL players. Parent is widely acknowledged as one of the greatest goalies of all time, probably top 20. During the 74 and 75 seasons, what many consider the finest consecutive seasons ever by a goalie, the Flyers won the Stanley Cup twice, and Parent won the Vezina Trophy and Conn Smythe both seasons. In that 2-year run of dominance, he posted 30 shutouts in regular and postseason play combined. As 84 inductee in the Hockey Hall of Fame, he was ranked number 63 in the Hockey News list of the top 100 NHL players of all time in 98. Parent remained an iconic fan favorite in Philadelphia for more than 3 decades after retirement. In 2017, Parent was named one of the 100 greatest NHL players in history. Now, he broke in with the Niagara Falls Flyers. He's led that legendary team. He was a 2-time winner of the Dave Pinkey Trophy, lowest goals against average, or GAA. When he started his career with the Boston Bruins in '66, he appeared in 39 games. The following season was split between Boston and Oklahoma. Left unprotected for the '67 NHL expansion draft, Parent was chosen by the Flyers, where he and Doug Favell, another former Bruin prospect, split the net-mining duties to the Flyers' first season. That year, Parent was .248 GAA. Now, looking for help up front to improve the club's offense, Philadelphia dealt Parent a second-round pick in the '71 amateur draft, which ended up being Rick Kehoe, to the Maple Leafs for Bruce Campbell in the first-round selection, which turned out to be for future NHLer Pierre Plante. In the same draft, as a three-way transaction to also include Boston on January 31st, '71. The Flyers acquired Rick McClish and Danny Schock from the Bruins, who received Mike Shaky Walton from the Maple Leafs. The trade turned out to be a positive return for Parent. In Toronto, he joined his boyhood hero Jacques Plante, who at 42 was having an all-star season. Parent played well for the Leafs through the '72 campaign, gaining valuable regular season playoff experience. Without a contract under Harold Ballard for the '73 season, he signed a large deal with the Miami Swinging Eagles of the newly formed WHA. He was the first NHL player to jump to the new league. The Eagles did not materialize as planned, and Parent signed with the Blazers. Parent faced a barrage of shots in 63 regular season contests for Philadelphia in the defensively weak league. After leaving the squad over a contract dispute during the '73 playoffs, he sought a return to the NHL, but did not wish to return to the Leafs. Toronto traded Parent's NHL rights back to the Flyers for Favell and a first-round pick in that summer '73 amateur draft. Again, the next 2 seasons were the greatest of his career, and he led the Flyers to 3 consecutive NHL Stanley Cup finals. Now, let's put this in perspective, ladies and gentlemen. In 1974, 47, 13, and 12, 75, 44, 10, 14, and 10. Unfortunately, 76 was an injury-plagued season where Wayne Stevenson took most of the duties. Now, unfortunately, as the Flyers prepared to run to the title for the 3rd consecutive season, he was sidelined by a preseason neck injury requiring surgery, and he appeared only 11 contests in 76. Excuse me. Parent had a pinched nerve in his neck causing radiating pain. Doctors eventually removed the disc and a section of bone and hoped to alleviate the symptoms, but Parent suffered from continued pain in his neck throughout the rest of his career. He did return to the lineup as probably, again, the best stand-up goalie. Now, Plante, although in retirement, continued to have a strong influence on Parent's career. Parent, like Plante, was a stand-up goalie. At one point, Parent was playing poorly, considering retirement. Plante watched him practice and fell for 2 days, then told him exactly what he was doing wrong, sitting back in his heels, backing into his crease, and losing concentration. Parent heeded Plante's advice and returned to form. Now, during the '78 season, he adopted a more confident, challenging style characteristic of his play during the title years, and he had 7 shutouts in 49 games. Now, the the style he was coming to an era, the stand-up was coming to an end. Now, unfortunately, on February 1779, he suffered a career-ending eye injury in a game against the Rangers. An errant stick entered the right hole of his mass, causing permanent damage in his vision. After hospitalization, including a complete loss of sight for 2 weeks, he recovered, eventually regained sight, although not the level required to resume his playing career. He retired at age 34, an age considered to be still in athletic prime for goalies. This incident, as well as the ending of Jerry Desjardins' career when a puck struck his eye in 1977, led many NHL goalies to switch from fiberglass face masks towards a cage and helmet style. Now, when he had his number retired, he eventually became he had several years in the Flyers organization as a goalie coach, mentoring Ron Hextall and later Pelle Lindbergh. Now, unable to deal with the early loss of his career, he unfortunately turned to alcohol and eventually ended up in the rooms of AA. But he did find sobriety for 30 years. Now, the idea of the 74 victory, according to Perron, was his best highlight of his career. He remained one of the most popular and iconic Flyers from the two title teams by hockey fans in Philadelphia. Of course, the Bernie, Bernie, Bernie chants that rocked the spectrum during the team's title years still greeted Perron. He still greeted Perron when he was recognized at Flyers events. Now, a resident of Cherry Hill, New Jersey, had a shore house in Woolwood Crest, where he lived for most of the years. For 7 months of every year, he lived on his 45-foot yacht named French Connection. Unfortunately, he passed away on September 21st, 2025, at the age of 80. And of course, like any good soldier, he died in his sleep after paying his back for years before, the day before. Memorial Cup winner in 65, WHA's second All-Star team in 73, NHL first All-Star team 74-75, Connie Smythe winner 74-75, Vezina winner 74-75, All-Star player 69, 70, 74, 75, 77, Class Guy Award in 79, retirement by the Flyers of his number 1, Hockey Hall of Fame 84, and again inducted in the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame in 2004. Perron is a great book about hockey with Michel Paeva and Dean Smith is titled Journey Through Risk and Fear. The book touches upon Perron's trials and tribulations, but mostly how to overcome fear, face challenges, find purpose, and obtain goals. Now, he was a forward hockey player and third goalie to appear on the cover of Time magazine on February 24th, 75, the first time in 40 years that a goalie had appeared on it. Now, his 47 wins in 74 is still the record for most regulation time wins single season, as Perron did not have the benefit of overtime or shootouts in a longer season in that era. Final NHL totals, 271, 198, 121, and 71 and 38 in the postseason. WHA 33-28, so 304 major pro goals. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you a quick story about Benny Perron. One member of my family, actually, my cousin's wife, met him at a bar in Montreal. I think it was circa 1981. And she kind of recognized him. He was a little bit older. He said, "Are you Bernie Perron?" He said, "Lady, everybody wants to be Bernie Perron." Yes, I am Bernie Perron. He's going to be greatly missed. What a jovial guy. What a beautiful Philadelphia sports hero. What a great Quebecois hero. And I don't think any regret not playing for the Montreal Canadiens, because back in the day, the Boston Bruins and the Flyers were considered the second and third version of the Montreal Canadiens, because he had the French connection in Buffalo as well. But the French connection in Philadelphia, I mean, Simon Nollet, Perron, all the key players through the years, he will be greatly missed. My regret, I never met him, but my God, what beautiful, beautiful hockey cards he would do. Smiling face. He could have been a major movie star. A little bit of Charles Bronson meets Burt Reynolds look. Handsome in his day is long. And ladies and gentlemen, old goalies never died. He just lose their pants. But he's up in heaven right now, maybe talking with Gordie Howe, because he never played against Gordie Howe until later on at the start of his career. But the native of Montreal, can you imagine? He looked 10 feet tall and bulletproof, only 5'10", 170. But my God, what a beautiful man inside and out. So my condolences to all the Philadelphia fans and the Bernie Perron fans. There's millions across the planet, and just like Robert Redford, an icon, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, Jacques Plante and Bernie are in heaven talking about that and said, why didn't he select you to play to Russians in 72? Don't you remember, Jacques? I jumped to the WHA. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing, we're Sports File Tributes. Let us know what a like, comment, subscribe, or share.